What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Let's dive into this brand new video from the official Raid Shadow Legends channel, and they're talking about the upcoming balance changes to Hydra, as well as to various mechanics and potential rebalances. So let's jump right into it. We'll give our reaction along the way, but it should be interesting.
We've got a different kind of update preview for you today. We're showing off some balance changes,
Very exciting stuff, right?
And a few other areas of the game. Along the way, we'll explain why we're making these changes, but here's a quick overview. The current meta is way too limiting to players who don't have specific champions in their collection.
Yep.
We want you to experiment with different tactics and teams.
It's kind of crazy, like Plarium is showing like a pretty, standard kind of like trended team. They got Duchess, they got the Lydia there in a protection set. It's it's interesting to see.
Let's dive in and take a closer look at what's coming. First up, we're setting the turn limit at 1,000 turns.
That's actually kind of interesting way for them to, I guess, reduce time. So they're saying cut by at least half an hour. This only really affects people that reach the turn limit. But of course, your damage is going to be cut by a third as well, so keep that in mind.
Auto battling the Hydra can easily take over an hour, so we're aiming to cut down the time by at least half an hour. You'll now need to build teams that do damage faster, rather than teams built for a war of attrition. With a few adjustments, you'll have no problem reaching the damage numbers needed to get your usual rewards. Moving on.
What if people do have trouble reaching the damage for these rewards? I don't know why they specify that you have no trouble reaching those rewards. They haven't really boosted our damage or anything.
Changing how the Serpent's will buff works. Most importantly, and brace yourselves, folks, it now reduces damage by 100% for a newly grown Hydra head. Yep, you read that right.
100%
damage reduction. You won't be able to nuke a newly grown head straight out of the gate anymore. Hold on though, there's good news too. If two heads regrow at the same time, only one of them will get the Serpent's will buff. Champions have gotten stronger since the Hydra initially reared its heads.
That's kind of better, I guess.
Empowerment and mythical champions joining the fray. We were seeing Hydra heads nuked as soon as they rejoined the battle, even with the 75% damage reduction. So, to make the fight even, and bring back some of the challenge that's been lost due to the game's evolution, the Hydra is getting a little stronger too. We're also making changes to digest.
I'm kind of surprised that they chose to keep the existing difficulty of Hydra and then make them a little bit stronger. I thought they would maybe add Ultra Nightmare Hydra, and then that would be like the next level of difficulty, as opposed to making the current Nightmare difficulty the highest and more difficult. But maybe there's still Ultra Nightmare in the future.
Digested on a 2-turn countdown? Well, for every subsequent time they get digested after that first 2-turn countdown, the damage you'll need to do to free your champion increases.
So they're saying that like you're gonna have require increasing damage to free your champion. It's just further stressing the importance of damage dealers. Also, 1,500 down to 1,000 turns. Yeah, it's just stressing the importance of damage dealers now, more so than currently.
Lost much of its intended challenge over time as more powerful champions and features were introduced. It was always meant to be one of the Hydra's key mechanics and an ever-present threat. But it became really easy to rescue allies that were being digested. So, we're bringing that fear back into digestion. Taunts won't help anymore either.
I saw this coming. I thought Taunt was a little bit too strong in terms of interacting with the Hydra. And Taunt is still a relatively new mechanic. So if they change it now, it's not going to affect too many champions. And I think I think it's needed, to be honest. So
the Hydra has shed its thin skin.
Goodbye, Taunt.
The insults will no longer distract it from a delicious champion meal sat right in front of it. In short, once a champion receives the mark of the Hydra debuff, they become public enemy number 1. And Taunt isn't going to do anything about it. Taunt is a cool mechanic, but new champion combinations emerged that could totally negate the mark of the Hydra. Less cool. It's not all bad news though. Your team's AI will now prioritize attacking the head.
That's currently in the game.
In auto battle mode. Teamwork makes the dream work. Exposed necks are also getting a rework. From now on, exposed necks will have a set HP value that is double the
That's
original
interesting.
head's HP. Once that value reaches 0, the head will immediately regrow.
So this is definitely a little bit of a nerf because there is ways to kind of manipulate the decapitated head turn meters. Basically, if you have the head of mischief pop up and killing the head of mischief, you can pull back the turn meter so you get more time against decapitated heads. I mean, this is clearly a nerf to make Hydra a little bit stronger, and you do less damage. So
with constantly regrowing Hydra heads, you'll need to think on your feet and have tactics in place for all potential scenarios. Oh man, Hydra battles are about to get much tougher.
Yeah, they're a little bit tougher now for sure.
Stop there. We've got a few more lined up to help keep things balanced, starting with shields. Shields will now receive a cap of 1 million points.
Yeah, so they are maxing, you know, putting a cap on the shields. Kind of makes sense, to be honest. I'm not too familiar with how big they get, whether this 1 million points is relevant or not. I'm not too sure.
Separate for shields placed by artifacts and shields placed by skills, though. So you could get up to 2 million points.
2 million points. Again, I'm not too sure, like how strong of a shield do you need for Yannicka's work. Yeah, I thought it might not be enough. It might be enough.
These caps are still big enough to ensure powerful builds remain viable for taking on the Demon Lord and the...
Yeah, they even show Yannicka here as well, and Wixwell. So like they clearly, you know, intended this to, you know, kind of temper those builds.
Will not be as game-breaking as before. And lastly,
here we go, the big news.
Dwarven warrior herself, Trunda Guilt Mallet. Don't worry, we're not nerfing her into oblivion. We're just rebalancing some of her skills to keep her damage numbers in Hydra battles more reasonable. Starting with her default skill, Golden Mallet, Trunda will now have a 50% chance to place a stun debuff on both hits. A little upgrade, but a neat one for PvP. Trunda's second skill, Cloak of Ages.
Usually you don't build Trunda with accuracy, so it's not likely for her to land too much debuffs, but I guess with Big Blessings, she's going to have a little bit of accuracy on her.
Will now ignore 50% of each target's defense on her second hit. However, the caveat here is that it will only ever be a normal hit.
So now the second hit on her A2 is only a normal hit. That's going to bring down her damage, I think, kind of significantly.
It won't be quite as astronomical as they have been before. Forge Rhythm, Trunda's third skill, now places consistent HP burn debuffs, and both hits from this skill deal 50% more damage to enemies under a stone skin shield.
Okay.
A neat boost to her overall kit. And finally, her passive skill now increases Trunda's attack by 5% for each stun or HP burn debuff she places on enemies. Her speed will still be increased as well, both by stun and HP burn debuffs. All in all, Trunda isn't...
That's kind of interesting. Now that she can place HP burns consistently, maybe she can contribute more damage this way as well.
...going anywhere. We still expect her to be an excellent choice for Hydra battles and the arena. We tested a ton of early, mid, and late game champion rosters.
Look at the teams.
Compositions when making these changes.
The teams are the freaking same.
Things will get better. You'll still be able to earn Hydra chests and miles.
They tested a ton of different combinations, but the teams are freaking the same for every difficulty.
Stone rewards in Hydra Clash. And you'll spend less time fighting the Hydra each week. As always, we'll be keeping an eye on your feedback and monitoring game data to see how these changes affect Hydra battles overall. We hope this preview has been useful for you and will help you prepare for more battles against the Hydra. Don't forget to like the video.
Okay, so just by watching this video, I think overall the mechanics will make Hydra a little bit more difficult. Obviously, less total turns will mean less total damage most likely, and then obviously Trunda doing less damage. It seems like it's a nerf. It's an adjustment to Trunda. She's going to do less damage. The heads are going to be harder to deal with. We're not going to be able to, stack as much damage on them, as quickly. So most likely the damage numbers will come down for the Hydra clashes. We do have a frequently asked question snip here. I'll show you guys, and we can go over some of these Q&A questions. So why did it take so long? It was a complicated decision, as you may imagine, that involved lots of testing and finding the correct approach. We've tried a lot of different options before and end up with this particular solution. It's hard to say, right? Like whether, time will tell how much testing, how good the testing was. But we'll see. I mean, if the fix is good, it doesn't matter how long it takes. But it would be nice for them to, kind of make some kind of compensation. But of course, that's not going to happen here. So is Trunda dead now? Our intention was not to kill Trunda, but to end her abusive reign on Hydra. Sure, I think we can agree to that. I own a Trunda. I recently just 6-star blessed her, and it takes 6 or 7 months for me to get that 6-star blessing. So it is what it is, and I'm happy to see this change. I don't think Trunda is dead. She still can probably work. Thus, instead of nerfing her, I'm pretty sure you nerfed her. We made some rebalancing that still kept her viable, but also opened some extra possibilities for using her in other game modes. This feisty badass still strong, but not broken now. Yeah, I mean, HP burn, sure, that's fine. You can add some damage to Hydra as well with their A3, but most people turn off the A3 for their Trunda runs. So they're probably still going to focus on the A2, so the HP burn is not going to matter for Hydra. This is basically a straight nerf to Trunda in Hydra, but sure, she could be more viable elsewhere. So number 3, why shields? I think we all agreed during our previous conversations that infinite shields are pretty abusive and might be destructive for the game. Thus, this cap for overall shield mechanics was definitely needed. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, it seemed like always a funky kind of interaction, especially with the whole Wixwell exponential growth thing happening. So I think it needed to be addressed. I'm not sure, again, the 1 million and 2 million point totals. Maybe it's still viable for Yannicka, but we will have to see. What about Clan Boss? Clan Boss should be just fine. We didn't want to kill the Clan Boss, and a small spoiler alert, we're closely looking into it, and might increase the cap if the squishier teams won't be able to make it. So that's good. The Clan Boss is on their radar. It honestly feels like they're maybe listened to some of the suggestions that people offered them, because people were saying like Clan Boss isn't the issue, it's Hydra, fix Hydra, leave Clan Boss alone, and it seems like maybe that's what they're doing. So maybe we can be happy about that. I think Yumiko was the problem. Just wanted to address this one because I've heard so many opinions that it's Yumiko who is the main culprit. Well, it turned out that tweaking Yumiko wouldn't solve the situation in this case. Yes, she definitely played her part, allowing the abuse of the mechanics that didn't work as intended. We're still monitoring the whole thing though, but for now, she will remain as is. Yumiko is very special. The reset and the resetting herself. This might be a problem for future content, you never know. But in this case, I mean, it's probably needed some kind of adjustment. But they left the door open for some kind of future adjustment, I guess. Will I be able to get any chests now? Those who were able to get the last chest before the Great Hydra rebalance will still be able to get it. I know it might look like it will be hard on smaller players. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. And while Hydra will become more challenging, it's important to say that the threat escalation will actually kick in at about 100 Hydra turns, making it so you'll have this time until it gets harder to deal with necessary damage and score needed for the chest. Okay, so it's just saying that you're gonna have, some time before the Hydra starts doing the crazy stuff. I mean, yeah, I think most smaller players probably wouldn't even make it to turn 100, so this might not be an issue. But yeah. Number 7, can I say goodbye to running Hydra on auto? Not at all. We've made sure to run tests on auto as well. That's why we're changing the AI so the head that is digesting will be prioritized. And on the contrary, the head under Serpent's Will won't be prioritized. Okay, that's good. So you can still run Hydra on auto, and it should take significantly less time. Number 8, will the Hydra head be able to receive buffs and debuffs under Serpent's Will? Yes. Quite a niche question, but it might be useful to know. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Because the Hydra will just protects it against damage. It's not like it's block debuff or anything like that, or stone skin. So having it apply debuffs is good. It's good. Number 9, is this all? Just as always, we will monitor the game mode, collecting your feedback, and we'll tweak if necessary. Okay, so at least they leave doors open. I think they address a lot of the main issues. Honestly, honestly, it feels pretty comprehensive, to be honest. Like, they left Clan Boss alone. They tackled Shields. They tackled Trunda. They made the Hydra harder. So it's going to push some of the crazy scores down. I would have liked to see something done to Yumiko. But personally, I can't really think of a very finesse way to deal with her at this moment. Obviously, there's got to be something, a little bit, problematic about her resetting herself. But I can't really think of a solution right now for her. We could take it away, but that might be too much. But honestly, I like these. I like this update. Excited to see how it works. Maybe more damage dealers will be more viable. It's definitely pushing people towards, building more damage dealers or stronger damage dealers, for example. And yeah, maybe something else besides Trunda will start doing more damage, right? So it will be interesting to see how much damage Trunda does relative to just really strong damage dealers. There's, really strong damage dealers now that might compete. So it'll be exciting to see. Overall, I think it's a pretty good thumbs up for me. Like I said, tackled everything that we kind of asked for or, had concerns about. Took a while, but hopefully it's good enough. But yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about all this. Did it cover everything you guys wanted to cover? Do you guys think it's enough? What are you guys worried about? And what do you guys think needs to be done to make it even better? Okay, guys, that's going to be it for the video. And thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always. And I'll see you guys in the next one.